Hello and welcome to State of the Union. I'm Stefan Grobe in Brussels. Since their counteroffensive began in June, Ukrainian forces have been attacking Russian territory almost every day with drones, missiles or artillery. And now Kiev's Western allies are worried Ukraine is depleting its stocks of ammunition rapidly. This couldn't come at a worse moment as support for Ukraine is faltering. In the United States, Congress passed a short-term budget without any aid for Ukraine at all. And closer to home, elections in Slovakia likely brought to power pro-Putin populist Robert Fico. If he succeeds in forming a coalition government, Fico will become prime minister for the fourth time. He campaigned on a pro-Russian and anti-American message. And on election night, he had this not very comforting message for Ukrainians.
Slovensko a ľudia na Slovensku majú väčšie problémy ako je Ukrajina. To je všetko, čo môžem povedať v tomto okamihu.
A Fico-led government could add cracks to the united European wall of support for Ukraine that the EU was putting on display this week. For the first time ever, a Foreign Affairs Council convened outside of the EU, namely in Ukraine. And unlike the next Slovak Prime Minister, EU High Representative Josep Borrell was unshakable in his support for Ukraine, maybe even getting a little ahead of himself.
And for sure, the strongest security commitments that we can give to Ukraine is European Union membership. This is the strongest security commitment for Ukraine.
Integrating war-torn Ukraine and other candidates would be a historic expansion of the EU. So historic, in fact, that member states are getting more and more divided over this issue. Joining me now is Alexander Schallenberg, the Foreign Minister of Austria. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we just heard from Josep Borrell, who said EU membership would be the strongest security commitment that the EU can give to Ukraine. Does that mean that Ukraine is being given some slack here and that security arguments outweigh other aspects like the rule of law or good governance?
Enlargement is our biggest and most important geostrategic tool. It's not a bureaucratic endeavor. We have proven so as community in the past. Think about the accession of Greece or Spain or Portugal, where we safeguarded young democracies. So the same thinking should prevail now. But it cannot be that some countries are on the fast lane and others on the sidelines. I believe that would be a geostrategic grave mistake of the European Union. It has to remain merit-based. It cannot be a shortcut for some and not for the others. So in one sentence, I don't want Animal Farm among candidate countries. All candidate countries are equal, but some candidate countries are more equal than others. This is not an approach we should have.
When it comes to the Western Balkans, your government supports the idea of gradual integration of those countries until 2024 on the way to full membership. What is your plan?
It's not only for the Western Balkans. We believe that gradual integration would be the answer for Ukraine too. The point is we have to leave behind us the binary thinking. It's either 0, you're not member, or 1, you're full member. This has proven the wrong approach in the Balkans. 20 years after Thessaloniki, we are nowhere. So we have to acknowledge enlargement is also a geostrategic endeavor. And instead of waiting until everything is agreed, think about agriculture in Ukraine. Think about cohesion policy in Ukraine or others. And we should bring them in.
Right now, the situation between Serbia and Kosovo is as tense as it could be. And the idea of two future EU members going after each other violently is a little disconcerting. What are your thoughts?
Have we lost all self-respect? What was the idea of European integration? What was at the beginning? Second World War. Enemies, France and Germany. Look at Alto Adige, South Tyrol. Was a stumbling block between Vienna and Rome. And what has happened? The answer was European integration. So why do we doubt ourselves now? I believe we have the same force, and I believe that what happened in the north of Kosovo should actually bring us in Europe to say we have to advance quicker. These people are frustrated. They have been waiting. We have promised them 20 years ago that they can be full part of our family, and we haven't delivered.
The Western Balkans have been in the waiting room for a long time. You just said it, and there are reasons for that. Now, Honestly and realistically, when do you see them joining the EU?
Predictions are difficult, especially if they concern the future, as people say. Charles Michel put out the date of 2030. I think it's good to have a kind of time frame, at least politically, in mind. The point is, we promised at the summit of Thessaloniki, exactly 20 years ago, to each and every member country of the region, that they will become full members of the European Union. So let's get our act together, let's put our money where our mouth is, and move forward, because I believe the answer is European integration. At least we always thought so when it went about conflicts in Western Europe. Why shouldn't the same count in Southeastern Europe?
All right, Alexander Schallenberg, Austria's foreign minister, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Change of topic. The 2024 Olympic Games are casting their shadows ahead. And in the host city, Paris, a brawl is brewing between the authorities and the iconic riverbank booksellers. What have books got to do with sports? Nothing. But the opening ceremony of the Olympics is to take place on the River Seine instead of a stadium. For security reasons, most of the street stands will have to be removed temporarily, police told the booksellers. The problem is, many of the old dark green boxes have not been moved for decades, and the book vendors worry that the city would cause irrecoverable damage to the stands and their business. Both sides are now in talks to find a solution to the problem and to reconcile a global 21st century sports event with a centuries-old symbol of Paris. That's it for this edition. I'm Stefan Grobe. Thank you for watching. Have an excellent week.